Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's time for Mayfield Poetry, episode 12. I hope you've been able to go outside and enjoy the beautiful sunshine today. We've been experiencing some wonderful poetry this month, and over the last few episodes, we've been specifically talking about nature poetry. Last time when we were together, we got to experience a poem by Maya Angelou about how we can learn to overcome our fears that we face all throughout our lives. And at the end of that episode, I ask you to think about a question. So I'll give our viewers who didn't tune into that episode a few minutes to think about the question too. Which do you think is more important, a mountain or a squirrel? Take a moment and think about that. I know that a mountain is really gigantic and it's majestic. It's magnificent. Those are words that come to my mind when I think about a mountain. When I think about a squirrel, I think of maybe fun to watch, clever, small, resourceful. I don't know which one's more important. Maybe our poem will help us out with that today. Before we take a look at that poem, let's do a spotlight on the author, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Let me tell you a little bit about Emerson's experiences when he was younger. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts on May the 25th, 1803. He was one of 6 children, and he began to read before the age of 3. His father was a pastor, and he died when Ralph was about 7 years old. So his mother had to support the family by renting out rooms in the house. And obviously, Mr. Emerson was smart because he read so early in his life. But we also find out that he started Harvard University at age 14, and then he graduated 4 years later. In the center of our screen, you see some quick facts about him. We already know that he was a poet. We also see that he had been a journalist during his life. And we also see his date of death, April 27th, 1882. Boys and girls, this would have put him living during the time of the Civil War. So if you've learned anything about that in your history classes, you would know that that was a very difficult time in America. And so he probably saw and heard things that were really sad. And he probably experienced things in his life that stayed in his memory. And he had to probably overcome those thoughts too, as well as losing his father at a very young age and growing up in a poor family. Here is the poem that we're going to focus on today by Ralph Waldo Emerson called The Mountain and the Squirrel. In this poem, we'll see that the two characters, the mountain and the squirrel, get into a little disagreement, a little argument. And we'll encounter a lot of words that might sound unfamiliar to you. So what we'll do is listen to the poem one time and then talk about a few of those words that might be confusing, and then we'll go back and read it again. The Mountain and the Squirrel. The mountain and the squirrel had a quarrel, and the former called the latter, "Little prig." Bun replied, "You are doubtless very big, but all sorts of things and weather must be taken in together to make up a year and a sphere, and I think it no disgrace to occupy my place. If I'm not so large as you, you are not so small as I, and not half so spry. I'll not deny you make a very pretty squirrel track. Talents differ, all is well and wisely put. If I cannot carry forest on my back, neither can you crack a nut. By Ralph Waldo Emerson. Let's take a look at a few of these words. First, you'll notice the word quarrel. Quarrel is just a little disagreement or argument. Here you see that the mountain calls the squirrel a little prig. That means, the mountain said, the squirrel was a little snob. And here we see the word bun. At the time, that must have been another little nickname for a squirrel. If we go on down the poem, we see here to make up a year and a sphere. A sphere is like a ball. So in thinking about this poem, the sphere is talking about the earth. Also, we see the word spry. Spry means really active and lively. You can imagine a squirrel being active and lively, jumping from tree to tree and climbing up trees and gathering acorns for the winter. So that will help you understand that word a little bit better. So now let's go back and read it again, and you think about the meanings of those words that we talked about. The mountain and the squirrel. The mountain and the squirrel had a quarrel, and the former called the latter little prig. Bun replied, "You are doubtless very big, but all sorts of things and weather must be taken in together to make up a year and a sphere, and I think it no disgrace to occupy my place. If I'm not so large as you are not so small as I, and not half as spry. I'll not deny you make a very pretty squirrel track. Talents differ. All is well and wisely put. If I cannot carry forests on my back, neither can you crack a nut." Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, who is more important, a mountain or a squirrel? You know what? I think both are very important. And I want you to know today, too, that you are special and important. Just because someone is good at something else that you're not, or taller than you, doesn't make them better than you. Every person and animal has their own qualities to help them survive, whether it's the strength of a mountain or the wit of a squirrel. What makes you special? Write a poem or draw a picture to share. We'll see you next time. Take care.